1, 2, 3, 4. I can't count to 5.
Well, Franny, Atom, as he's affectionately known in the weighing room. Come on, what's the news? We're here at Chester, your place.
Yeah, going to be quite sad, Jace, but I'm going to call it a day. The last meeting here on the 21st of September, it'll be an emotional day, but a day I'm looking forward to be honest with you. I've got a lot of family and friends that are coming, so yeah, it's going to be a memorable day.
You've been thinking about it for a while, or how's the process been?
To be totally honest with you, I was going to give up last year, and I was with Frankie, and we just rode in the Chester Cup. I was a little bit unlucky, and I thought to myself, I've got some unfinished business here. And Frankie said to me, he said, well, that's it, son. He says, it's all over now, we don't have to come back here. But in the back of my mind, I thought, oh, I'm going to come. But I knew I wasn't really ready to finish then, but now I know I'm ready.
So now it is actually on your terms, because it's before the game retires you.
Yeah. I mean, it's like anything. It's not the age of the car, it's the miles on the clock, isn't it? And when you look back at Frankie, who's still going, you know, he was only riding 200 horses, good ones, and not really going that far. So he managed himself the last few years very good. Whereas I'm going to Brighton for one ride, Lingfield, down to Musselburgh, and then eventually it takes its toll in the end.
What would be your most memorable days racing?
I've got a few, but I rode one for Jerry Minnesota, and it was more about for the Hillsborough, who just found out that they were going to get justice and go to court and all that. So I wanted to dedicate the race to them. They were red and white colours, so that was for Liverpool. And in my head, I was thinking about what I was going to say, because I'd already won the race in my head. And what happened was, Martin Dwyer come beside, you know, an Evertonian, and I had a little bit of a ding-dong, and I was saying, oh, no, not today, mate, not today. Anyway, he gets up, he wins the neck. I was able to do that. So that was a memorable day, because I was able to give something back to the Hillsborough.
The Gold Chung Sam leads the line all of a sudden, with her jam coming home strongly. The Gold Chung Sam ridden out, but does enough to think to win.
What do you think you'll miss?
I love the lads in the weighing room. I love the banter. You know, hopefully I can stay in and around the game somewhere and still see them along the way, because we've become a family in there, and we share our problems and we have our little chats, and I suppose, you know, yeah, I think that's what I miss, just the lads.
Thank you.
You're welcome, mate. So this is it.
Where is God's peg?
So this is the main man's peg.
So for anybody looking in, you would have started up there, would you, and then worked your way down?
As you well do, but I'm next to the toilet. I'm the next one out, isn't it? And that's the kind of, it's usually that way around, but I've always sat here, because you're the last one out the door.
And who have you shared the room with?
Frankie sat with me, but I have him that side because I make sure I'm the governor. And hey, listen, we've had numerous jockeys over the years, you know, so this will be vacated very soon.
This, the room though, obviously it's a multi-million-pound business, so super serious you have to be, but a lot of fun has gone on in here down the years.
Yeah, and it's changed as well though, Jace. The jockeys are becoming a lot more professional now. You know, they're becoming much more like athletes. Beforehand, you'd have a card game going on, wouldn't you? And you know, you'd be having fun, and you'd be bashing banter all over the weighing room. And anyone who gave one a bad ride, you'd let them know when you come in, and great fun. Now it's a little bit more quieter. You won't see a card school anymore. And yeah, again, I'm more into looking at their iPads for form now than looking at a deck of cards.
When you finished racing years ago, what was the plan? And now, what is the plan? And it's changed in the room.
We'd share a lift on the way home, and we'd look for the nearest off licence, and we'd have great fun. Now, when they go, they're looking for the nearest gym, and that's the change in their professionalism of what they, you know, from where it went from when we was back in the day to now.
You've ridden in a great era of jockeys, I think, when you look down over your career.
Yeah, unbelievable. You know yourself, Ray Cochran, Wally Swinburne, Pat Edry, the list goes on. You know, all at the top, you try and break into them. I don't think we've ever got the same jockeys we had back then. Right now, we've got one or two who got a bit of class, but if you put them jockeys back in the day when I was riding in this era, I don't know if they'd be able to ride now anyway with all the rules and all the changes to you with the whip rules and everything else that goes on, because it was quite cutthroat back then and you didn't dare go down an inside or whatever, and you know, so it was it's change of the times. So look, come over and have a look at this. This is my uncle, Paddy Gilboy. What happened was he wasn't so good, and he come to the races, and then he sat here, and a few weeks later he passed away. So I asked Chester, because this was the last place he sat at the races, could I put a memorial up of him, and they kindly done it for me. So this is when I come into the races, I always give Paddy a kiss, and then off, and then I have a little word with him when I've messed up.
Was he a mad fan?
He loved his racing, play spots every day, you know what I mean, and loved his, he called me a few names, put it that way, you know what I mean, but no, just loved his racing, loved it, and he'd go out and have his bet every day and his pint, and you know, just the usual scenario.
Would he have backed Hulkopus?
Oh, I don't know, he may have done, yeah, because he was a big fan with me, yeah. That's gone back some time, isn't it?
I always remember Deposky. I don't know why, he was just one of those horses that I remember.
Yeah, well, Deposky, it was funny because Pat Edry actually got me the ride on it. And Pat says, whatever you do, make sure you get there. He'd won 4 or something and just creeped into it. And he said, whatever, get him there late. Well, I couldn't hold it.
Really?
I couldn't hold it. And I was getting run away with down the outside. And I thought, oh, do you know, I can't hold this. And then, so Pat must have been thinking I told him to get there late. And I ended up nearly virtually making a running, and he won by 5 lengths.
How did you get into racing?
Yeah, well, I had no racing background, no knowledge of riding a horse or anybody that was in it. I wasn't very academic, I wasn't very clever. All my knowledge was street knowledge than anything else. So yeah, you make a good jockey. But I must have applied to more jump trainers than flat trainers because I didn't know the difference. So I eventually get a job down in Didcot with a little trainer called Peter Arthur, and then I ended up with Jeff Ragg.
And that sort of path, and then you sort of settled there in a rhythm for a good while.
Yeah, but you know, funny, Jace, because I was very happy in Newmarket, at my house and whatever else, and I always said I'd never go back to Liverpool, and I wouldn't marry a Scouse girl because they were too clever, right? I ended up marrying a Scouse girl, moving back and having 3 kids later, so...
Your upbringing in Belle Vale.
Yeah.
Come on, tell us a bit about Belle Vale.
Belle Vale, yeah. We lived in a council area, but jeez, we had some fun, you know, because we had like youth clubs, boys clubs, we played football. You know, we didn't want nothing for nothing then, do you know what I mean? We were doing everything. You know, I was in the Army Cadets, I was boxing, I was doing judo. I was all over the place, you know what I mean? So, and that was all from the streets of Belle Vale, and yeah, it was, when they say, you know, we had no money, you know what we had? We had love, and we had plenty of things to do. So, I think we were the rich ones.
The boxing, you were obviously handy.
Yeah, so I'd always boxed, but when I went into the stable, lads, I think it was like 6 stone. And I couldn't box the first year because I couldn't make the weight. I couldn't make the weight, 6 stone. Anyway, so the worst thing happened then, because I turned into a like so-called a senior, the next weight I could do then was 6'7" the following year, right? So if I couldn't make 6 stone that year, how am I going to make 6'7"? So I said, right, I know what I'll do. So I got a load of lead and I put it into me.
So you were too light?
I was too light, yeah. Yeah, I was too light. And I put a load of, to make 6 stone 7, and I put a load of, and all the boys are there skipping away, and I'm trying to shove things down me, you know, to get myself a little bit heavier. I had a couple of pints of water, just there. Anyway, gets onto the scales. And I was 6 stone 2. I didn't make the weight. But they said, do you want him to box? And he said, yeah, we want him to box. So anyway, we boxed that year, and then we boxed 3 years on after that. Well, we won it 6 times in the end. But we won it three consecutive years. And then obviously your racing takes over then, doesn't it? You know. And then I wanted to box again, but this was like a decent gap in between. Why I went back into it is because the racing was going down. And I thought, oh, I need to keep on the right road here. So I rings a good friend of mine, John Naylor. John wanted to be a jockey. He just outgrew it, but went to be a pro fighter. So it was kind of sort of the same sort of angle I was at, you know what I mean? And I got the best advice in my life off him, because I said, John, this racing game ain't going too well. I said, I've got a chance to turn over to be a pro fighter here and you know, have a go. And he said, Franny, he said, don't even think about it. He said, it's a filthy, filthy game. He said, stick your head down in the racing, keep going. He said, and things will turn. Look, as it happens, Dandy Nichols come on board, had a good time with him. Then we started to escalate a bit better. And then I fell into Mark Johnson's, and the rest was history, they say, my friend.
You got any plans of what you might do?
Yeah, well, I've been in touch with Lisa Delaney, and I try to create something beforehand with disadvantaged kids, more so from the city, because I want to mentor kids or look after them in a way of them ones who don't get a chance in life. Some disadvantaged kids who, you know, you can bring them into our sport, put our arm around the shoulder, tell them that you love them, you know, like let them know that they're worth something, because some people don't get a chance in life, and that's what I wanted to do, is to give them a chance in life. You know, could you imagine, you know, like we get 2 or 3 kids through into the racing game and I'm watching them ride around here or something, you know what I mean? And he's a kid who could have been wayward or gone somewhere that, you know, his life was going nowhere, and the next thing, he's got a chance in life and he's spinning around a race course. Fantastic.
Sum up your career.
Up and down, some highlights and a small window of success, but we've never really gone to the real top of the sport, but we got high enough.